Hello there, my fellow prisoner. Welcome to the Gothic 1 Remake review. Now, I got to play this early, luckily, although I was on a timer limit, but this was at a press event, and today I just want to give you my Gothic 1 Remake review. But the most important thing that I want to do with this video, and it's not to, say that this game is bad by any means, but it's to give you an actual honest Gothic 1 review, because everything that I've seen, all of YouTube, okay, every single video that I've come across has been a sponsored post, a sponsored review, early review, preview, whatever you want to call it, a sponsored look at Gothic 1, and there's a reason they're doing this, because most people, first of all, don't know much about this game. Second of all, there is some things that the developers kind of want to hide, I would say, and having everyone talk about this in a sponsored segment, of course, limits what you can say, what you can't say. Now, if you think, all of these YouTubers that you watch and stuff like that, you can trust them 100% that, when it's a sponsored video, they can still give you their honest opinion. No, nothing held back. They can be brutally honest, as a lot of the titles like to say. It's bullshit, okay? That's not how it works. I'm here to actually tell you how it actually works.
It's a lie! It's a lie!
Now, it doesn't mean that these content creators are lying to you or anything like that. It just means that they're, obviously going to miss certain things. Now, I only do sponsorships where, I can say whatever I want. But there are usually, some things that you do have to hold back. So this isn't a sponsored video. I just wanted to make that clear. There is a sponsor in this video, but it's got nothing to do with Gothic, okay? So just to let you know. And if you do enjoy this type of content, please do consider supporting me by checking out my music on Spotify or subscribing to the channel. I'm still a somewhat medium-sized creator, and I am trying super hard to go full-time. I've been grinding on YouTube for 6+ years, so help me get to 100k, subscribe, support the channel as it's not a full-time job yet, by dropping a donation or whatever it is. It does mean a great deal. And become a wise one today if you love early access reviews, deeper looks at video games, looking at their themes and the philosophy behind them. So become a wise one today if you care about objective thinking, and I will tell you if I have a personal bias. And yeah, it just means a great deal to me, because I'm trying to build a community here that's a little bit different. Now, before we get into further details, a quick word from today's sponsor, JP Fans. I did a short recently showing how easy it was to buy stuff from their website. Now, because I live in Japan, there's so many cool items here that you just can't get if you're abroad. But if you are in the US or UK or wherever, you can use JP Fans to ship Japanese items to where you live. And honestly, it's the best service I've used. And I found a rare crystal Dark Souls lizard that I've been wanting a long time. So check out the unboxing here. I highly recommend it. And then we'll get back to the video. So welcome to the unboxing channel. Now, this is the first time I've done an unboxing, so it's quite exciting. I'm using my Roman dagger here that I got as a man of history and as a man who appreciates good philosophy. The Romans were, of course, the peak civilization, so this is what I'll be using to unbox today. So today I've got a package from JP Fans, a Japanese proxy shopping service that lets you buy items directly from Japan, including products from Mercari, which is a great Japanese store where you can get good second-hand stuff, or limited edition rare items that are actually brand new. So, trusted sellers from Japan. You can also find items from Japanese Amazon that you can only find on the Japanese version of Amazon, and many other Japanese stores. So let's open it up and see what we got. I've been really excited for this one because it's a Dark Souls crystal lizard figure, and basically, you probably know this already, but I'm a huge Dark Souls nerd. And it's very rare to find this particular figure, as it was a limited run, and the same goes for a lot of cool Japanese items. You can only find them in Japan, so the only way to get them is by using a website like JP Fans. The packaging looks great, everything arrived safely, it was packaged securely, which is always important when you're ordering collectibles. And they even send you photos, which is really nice, when it arrives at their warehouse, because they place the order for you, and then you can inspect the photos. So it's super, nice that they, care this much, and you can track your shipment. And here it is, the Crystal Lizard. Now this one didn't cost a lot because I found a really good deal on it. Usually they go for, like up to like 300 USD to even 500 USD now because of the collectible nature of them. But by using this website, I could secure, a good price in yen, and because it can all get converted to your currency, you might be able to save money that way, and you can use my coupons as well to save money. One of the reasons I use JP Fans is because they give access to Japanese marketplaces that can be difficult to buy from directly if you're outside of Japan. So I was able to look for this Japanese listing and find the figure a lot more easier than if I was searching in my, own country or America. JP Fans offers multiple shipping options depending on your budget and delivery preferences, so you can choose for one that works best for you. And if you are using duty-free shipping option, that can help reduce additional import costs as well. So if you ever wanted to buy rare Japanese collectibles, figures, or games from Japan, you can register using my link below. New users can receive a coupon bundle when they sign up, and if you use my code, you'll also get additionally 20% off your shipping fee. Overall, I'm just so happy with this Crystal Lizard and how it turned out. So if you're interested, definitely check out JP Fans using the link in the description. Let me know what kind of things you might buy from this website or from what game series. And thank you, JP Fans, for sponsoring the video. There it is, the Crystal Lizard. I got the little bastard, and now I'm gonna keep it as a pet. Like I said, this is a limited edition. I think there's only like less than 1,000 of them in the world now, and there was only limitedly, and it was just a limit run in 2019 for an event. And I managed to get this absolutely brand new, and yeah, the detail is really good. No like damage, no nothing, it's completely brand new, boxed. So yeah, JP Fans had excellent service because it's exactly what I wanted, exactly the right condition, so I highly recommend it. So with the housekeeping out of the way, let's discuss Gothic 1 Remake review. Now, remember, this is all based on the earlier access gameplay that I've actually had access to, and from the extensive research that I've also done on top of that. So it's not the full experience as of yet, but I've played enough to actually tell you what this is like. And yeah, it's very close to release now, so I doubt much is going to change from when I played it last. So let's get straight into this. So this game is for the OGs, okay? For people who played the Gothic 1 back in the day, or just Gothic as it was known then. This is very much an old school RPG experience, and the best thing to compare it to now for people who never played the original Gothic like myself, I would say is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
In Kingdom Come.
Now, it also reminds me a lot of Outward, if you've ever played that game. It's kind of a co-op, open-world survival experience, but the combat is quite similar to that, very clunky and much more focused about directional attacks, and that's why I also compare it to Kingdom Come Deliverance. And the reason I also compare it to Kingdom Come Deliverance is because this is an RPG that is on the hardcore side, okay? This is not for people who want to kick back, relax, open up a perk tree, and, dump a bunch of skill points and, become basically a god after playing like a couple of hours. This is a big grind, a big investment that you are going to be very weak at the beginning. You're going to be one-shotted by goddamn mole rats. Yes! That's right, there's mole rats in this game. That's an automatic win for, Fallout fucking insane men like me who love Fallout.
You can't hurt anyone anymore.
So yeah, there's mole rats, which is quite cool. And some pretty interesting enemy design. And yeah, there's just a lot here. But it's all based on this directional attack system. So you can stab, you can do a slash, and you can chain these attacks together. There is a lock-on system, kind of similar to Dark Souls, I guess. But don't be expected to be rolling around, pulling off parries or anything like that. You can block, but honestly, it doesn't help much. you can easily get killed by pretty much everything in this game after a couple of hits. So it's very punishing. And yeah, it does remind me of Kingdom Come Deliverance, like if the whole game was in that early section of you being, you know, kind of just a weak bastard, okay? Now I'm going to get into the positives and negatives, but before I do that, I do want to say that there is some controversy around this game, which of course none of the sponsors are talking about, so I'm just going to address that because I think it is important. I don't personally care that much, but I do understand that the original Gothic players might have an issue with this, and it's fair enough. You know, it's like if they, you know, made Fable again, you know, or, you know, something. It's like if they made Fable again, or the Lord of the Rings games I grew up playing, or something like that, you know, a beloved game series that I love, you know, they remake New Vegas, for example, and it removes any of the, you know, kind of darker themes. They have actually done some censorship with this new modern release. So basically, in the first game, how women are depicted are basically, you know, pure slaves, okay, for the most part. All of these kind of games had a little bit of edge to them, you know, I think about Prince of Persia, you know, I think about the OG Prince of Persia games and the second game of that series, Hitman Blood Money, you know, this kind of earlier 2000s, this earlier time in gaming where it was much more edgy and it wasn't scared to, you know, sexualize characters. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, in my opinion. Personally, I think people are too sensitive. Now, let's just say that the original art style of Gothic 1 was very revealing, okay? And a lot of the women characters you couldn't actually talk to because we have to respect women in this modern day and age. It's all about respecting women. Remember that.
How can you say that women are less intelligent than men when you are saying such incredibly stupid things?
Men. Why?
Yeah, how can you say that when you yourself say such stupid things?
First of all, I haven't heard you.
Respect women.
So it had some quite explicit adult-themed stuff. And honestly, I'm kind of fucking sick of this because, like, why does every game need to, like, feel like it's made for kids now? Because the point of a mature game is it to be, you know, for adults, okay? Let's just say some of it was a little bit concerning, you could say, but it also fit the themes of the game that it was going for. Now, of course, it's not like that. So just remember, if that stuff bothers you, then you're not going to like that because there is, you know, kind of censorship, you could say, in this game now, and they have changed things around. But honestly, I don't have a huge problem with it. Like I said, if it was pulling away from the experience, then I would say it's, you know, a much worse type of censorship, because now you can actually talk to the side characters and they actually have more to say and stuff like that. But it does kind of miss that kind of, you know, aesthetic, the art style, those kind of, you know, like edgy 80s, 90s kind of fantasy tropes, you know, like heavy metal and stuff like that. It just misses some of that Gothic style for the OGs, and I know this might matter to some of you, so I just thought I would mention it. Now, when they add gameplay changes, I think that's perfectly fine, because this is a remake, and they add to it by adding, you know, more character interaction, more, you know, writing and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I hate when they mess with art styles, especially when they are trying to remake something. But for the most part, the rest of the game does stay true to the original aesthetic of the first game, but it just adds a bunch more modern detail. So things now are much more graphically beautiful to look at. But again, another thing that most people aren't mentioning, this is what I played, and for all I know, it's all been fixed by now. But when I played it, there was so many bugs. My character would stop his walking animation, that was one, and he would just kind of float across the map and stuff, and I had to reload a save, and it fixed it. So you need to constantly kind of quick save. It reminds me of early Bethesda games, where it's quite buggy, but it could have all been fixed by now, so I'm not sure. Also, the performance is pretty terrible, and this is one of the worst games I've ever seen use Unreal Engine 5, and Unreal Engine is a fucking nightmare. I hate that engine so much. It's ruining modern games, and yeah, they just haven't optimized it well. It looks grainy, it looks blurry. It just, you need a very high-end system to make this game look good. But I think it's safe to say that the art style, you know, was very kind of 90s early fantasy, very, you know, dark fantasy. And for the most part, I think they have kept the art style and the original gritty look intact, and I do think they did a good job with that. But obviously it just feels a lot more modern, and the areas that you explore feel a lot more open and big. Okay, this is an open world game. So first of all, let me just say that the story here is so interesting, and it's one of these cool, you know, original RPG ideas that really makes sense narratively and in a gameplay setting. It's a bunch of criminals all forming their own different societies and factions, and of course you have to interact with them, and you need to find a way to do basically a giant prison escape. But the prison itself is this magical bubble that all of this land is in, and it's just such a cool concept. And the fact that you can go about this in any way that you want, pretty much, and, you know, side with different characters, you can pretty much kill everyone as well. It's, you know, proper hardcore RPG stuff. There's no maps, there's no yellow shit on the wall, you know, it's completely up to you to actually listen, pay attention, and figure stuff out yourself. So if you don't like that kind of game, if you're not a fan of Kingdom Come Deliverance, if you don't like a game that doesn't have maps, for example, like you actually have to purchase maps from characters, you have to actually listen to what people are saying, you have to think about what alliances you're going to make, every choice and consequence matters. This is what I love. You know, I love these kind of hardcore RPGs that especially mess with morality, and ask more philosophical questions. Sadly, Gothic doesn't have a deep moral system, I would say, but it's still good for seeing the consequences of your action. You know, you can truly be, you know, a goody two-shoe trying to help everyone, or you could just be, you know, a dirty scavenger, or you could be a psychopathic murderer and just kill everyone. Like, I do like that it gives you these different options, these different role-playing abilities, so there is a lot here to really love in the RPG sense, especially that old school RPG that we just don't get much of anymore. And it does kind of remind me a little bit of, you know, Oblivion back in the day as well, with how you progress your character. So basically, or outward, like I said, like you can't just level up and open a massive skill tree. You need to actually find trainers in the world, similar to Kingdom Come as well. Like I said, it's very much that kind of game. So now you know what kind of RPG it is. It's not something like Skyrim or The Witcher.
You're goddamn right.
Okay, so let's talk about a few positives and negatives, and then we'll round up this Gothic 1 remake review, this early access look at the game. But basically, the first positive, I would say, is just the freedom that it gives you. Like I said, there's not many RPGs that do this anymore. A lot of modern day players can't even comprehend how to even play a game like this, and honestly, it's quite sad. And I'm glad that these games still exist, and there is still people who want to play these games that don't hold your hand. I mean, comparing this to the new James Bond game that just came out, like, it's night and day difference of, like, how much ability you actually have to think versus, you know, and I'm a master of stealth. Let me activate my X-ray vision, but never mind about being surprised in a modern day experience. You know, it's night and day difference comparing this type of experience where you get immersed, where you feel the artistry of the world, the characters, the lore, all of this kind of stuff. It's the shit that I love. Not to say that I don't like my AAA slop, because I do like that as well at times. But I do understand that for some people it's kind of tedious. And especially when everything kills you, because it doesn't feel fair difficulty like something like in Dark Souls or Lies of P or something. It feels kind of unfair at times, but that is the point. You know, it took me a while to get Kingdom Come, honestly. But when you realize that the point is that you should suffer at the beginning, that it's supposed to be difficult, and, you know, you might think, you know, no one is this stupid, you should be able to figure some stuff out early on, but that is the point. It's to make you immersed in this kind of character where everything is difficult and life is a bitch, basically.
Goddamn right.
So I really do like the difficulty and stuff like that. A small negative for the OG fans is now there is difficulty options, so you can actually, you know, customize this. There's even a custom difficulty. The whole point of these kind of experiences is it's designed in one way. It's designed in a certain way. It doesn't need to appeal to everyone. And the fact that, you know, now it can be much more forgiving and the resource economy is shifted slightly, yeah, it does change the game a bit, I would say, so just be aware, but that you can still play it in its original way if you want to. So having accessibility doesn't bother me. I think that's a good thing, actually. at least it's still got the original difficulty. It hasn't messed with that. Now, the next negative is, like I said, the performance, the bugs, all of that kind of stuff. Hopefully, it has all been fixed compared to when I played it, but honestly, it was pretty terrible. And yeah, I just absolutely just terrible. And it's Unreal slob, okay? There wasn't many stutters, surprisingly, but just the performance in general was not good. A lot of artifacts, a lot of bugs. Hopefully, it's not like that anymore. And to keep with the negatives, I think the voice acting in general is just kind of bad. And that's very sad, especially in an RPG game. You know, I need to feel truly invested in the characters and the world, and it does a good job of that. But when it comes to the writing, you know, it's actually well done. But how it's delivered with the characters, it's not all of them, but a lot of it just feels very boring. The way it's delivered, like none of the characters have much spice to them, and that does make it feel a little bit of a slog until you find another character that is interesting. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, I would say, the actual the conversations and stuff like that, and that is a big thing in an RPG like this. And then the next thing is combat. I don't think this is going to be for everyone. I think it's again a bit of a mixed bag. I do like the directional stuff that it's going for, and the fact that you can pick a fight with anyone and all this kind of stuff. But the way it feels, the way it's balanced, the way, you know, kind of animations kind of take a long time to hit, not in a satisfying sense like Dark Souls or something like that, but just, it's got a little bit of kind of latency to it, I would say. It just doesn't feel that smooth. And honestly, it's fine if the other enemies act the same way, but it does feel a little bit like the difficulty is slightly off because enemies can hit a lot faster than you. And honestly, yeah, it just doesn't feel amazing, even though I do like the slow, deliberate nature of combat. It definitely needs a lot more refinement, a better polishing. The animations as well just don't look terribly good or very satisfying when you do land a hit. All of this stuff is important in game design. You need good feedback, you need good, you know, hit detection and all of this kind of stuff. I do like the systems in this game where enemies can even loot you. It's a nice way to, you know, kind of make everyone feel equal and, you know, make the world feel alive. And I like the choices and consequences and, you know, just the different allegiances that you can form in this for companions and stuff like that. Also, exploration is actually well done here because there is a very distinct charm about, you know, going into a cave, exploring something, and this kind of harsh economy that kind of that makes this game all work well together. But honestly, the Gothic 1 remake to me is slightly disappointing. I was hoping for a lot more, considering the foundations, the bones of this game are so good, and the remake just seems to kind of tape it all together. But you do really have to stick with this game to see the good stuff. That's the thing, and it's a lot more difficult to get into, I would say, than some other games. So overall, I would say Gothic 1 Remake is a mixed bag of an experience. I would personally wait for a sale, or if you're a huge fan of the original game, you know, play this, or just play the original, honestly. I just don't feel like, you know, the whole point of a remake is you should add to the game. You should change things. And yes, there are some added content, like, you know, some of the other characters in the later games come back and there's like side missions and stuff, and, you know, a better combat system, honestly, a world that feels much more alive, and at times it reminds me of good exploration like in Skyrim or something, or older Oblivion games, and just the level of interaction is well done. But, you know, a game as beloved as this, that kind of set the foundations of good quality hardcore RPGs, it just should have more. It needs to be refined more, and honestly, it's lacking that polish. That's basically all I can really say at the end of the day. It lacks the polish, it lacks good combat, it lacks that good combat feeling that you get in other RPG games, and also, you know, the jankiness of it pulls you out of the immersion of the good writing, of the good world building, especially with some of the voice actors and stuff like that. The music is done very well, I will say. So I do like that, but there's a lot of resistance to this, and resistance in games is, you know, good. This is what makes a hardcore RPG a hardcore experience. But resistance in the sense that, you know, it's kind of unpolished is the opposite of what you want in a game like this. You want it to feel like the gameplay mechanics are making you, You want to feel that the gameplay mechanics are fighting with you and are making you work for it, but you don't want the game itself to, you know, kind of fight with you. And that's kind of how this game feels from what I played. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to be fixed or not, but maybe it is. So there you go, that is my Gothic 1 remake review. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, my wise ones. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Let me know if you're going to get this game or you're going to wait. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace out.